guys, what's happening? So I've had this video pending for quite some time, but I just wasn't sure how I wanted to address it. So here is my opinion on whether or not I believe that school in modern days is pointless. This is one of those topics where I want to say I'm 50-50. 50% yes, it is pointless, 50% no. But I'm going to tackle it in a few different ways. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time at my disposal right now, but I'll go ahead and say it since I feel the inspiration for it. Hi, Tupac. So I think that school, no matter what time period we're in, it's always going to be important because it supplies you with the essential building blocks that you need for development. So, thinking back to my time when I was beginning school, it was really important for me to have that exposure to school because if it weren't for those early years, I wouldn't have practiced my speech. I wouldn't have practiced my coordination, like building things, at basic level with blocks or whatever, identifying what shapes correspond where. There was like this plastic box that would have the figures outside, geometric figures, and then you had to figure out how to place the shape for it to perfectly fit inside of the hole in that so-called plastic box. I forget the name of it. But I thought that was pretty cool because at first, for some reason, it looks really obvious, but there are so many like figures that unless you stop and think about it, you wouldn't consider that there are many differences. Like a square, there was a square and there was a diamond shaped one, and that one always threw me off in the beginning. But unfortunately, since that box never like rotated its spots, I memorized where each figures went, and all of the figures had different colors. So it was really easy to cheat my way through that. But anyways, the point I was trying to illustrate is that when you have those early stages, like early childhood, it is so important for you to expose yourself to as many different skills, as many different exercises that you can, both mental, physical, and like motor skills. I think that's so important because for some reason I know so many clumsy people, and then I ask them, how was your early development? And they say, just I was babysat. Like I didn't get exposure to anything else besides being told a story or just basic baby things. Whereas my mom, being a teacher, she exposed me to a lot of things. She would make me write a lot and read, draw conclusions, but of course at a child's level, which is something like explain to me why this diagram is on this is on this page, what makes this picture relevant in this chapter that you're reading. And then I'm like, oh, it's trying to illustrate, for example, um, you can have a diagram that shows clouds with arrows pointing down, and we're talking about the weather. So I can tell her, we just read that the definition of wind is the horizontal movement of air. So the arrows are showing the movement horizontal, which is sideways. And with that exercise, I was also practicing defining something, my vocabulary skills. That's the kind of early development that I had. So if I look at it from that point of view, school is completely indispensable during your early years. But as school progresses, it gets tricky because depending on your district, the quality of your education may be affected. And that is what I learned after I graduated from high school. And I was kind of torn and disappointed and heartbroken because I felt like I was robbed of some essential lessons. Like I feel like my district was not challenging enough for me. And then back then, when I was in school, I thought I'm in school. My education here is the same education, whatever other state I'm in, you know? So until I was finishing up my senior year and conversing with teachers who were, like opening up about the truth about education, the state of education, and everything, that's when they were exposing a lot of things like, oh, yeah, you guys were supposed to be, if this were the 70s, you guys would have been into many, many more advanced, say, mathematics and all that. And I'm like, what? You mean I'm only basic level? To me, I thought that I was the bomb at my own level. I knew that I didn't have the strongest mathematical expertise, but at least I thought that I was decent or really close to average, especially if I live in the United States, which is, a top nation. So I was expecting that I was worldwide average, but then I'm like, no, I'm actually pretty, pretty like miserable. So, or mediocre when it comes to my level. So, in a sense, that was kind of a hard pill to swallow. But, anyways, I'm just glad that I was made aware, and I don't feel like it was too late because despite having finished school, that didn't mean that I stopped learning. That's when I started doing my independent readings on topics that I really care about and I'm passionate about. So that also is probably why when I was in school, I felt so lost. Like, why do I not have an inclination for anything? Why can I not make up my mind? Like, since my 10th grade, everyone was bringing up that topic of college. What are you studying? What are you going to do when you graduate? And I'm like, I'm only a sophomore. I have 3 more years to go, pretty much. So just cool it down. And then junior year, we had the pressure of you have to start applying for scholarships and take the PSAT and all that. And I took the PSAT, and my score was laughable, but it wasn't terrible either. Isn't like the maximum 2000. I think I was like 14ish hundred or 15ish hundred, but then my senior year for the SAT, I was probably 17ish hundred, something like that. I'll have to find that paper. But speaking of paper, when I learned that school is kind of very, very political, I was very, very lost because I'm like, wait, why is it important that we get screened in this way? Why does a computer scan our answers? And say that I flunk one of the state exams. What is being done to mediate that? For me to like take a remedial course. Because clearly, if I flunked something, it's because I didn't learn. So if I didn't learn, what are we doing to ensure that I obtain those essential skills? And that's when my teacher stepped in and they said, see, the sad truth is that you can take a remedial course, but the whole point is for you to bump your scores up. But we're not concerned, we as in the state, we're not concerned whether or not you're retaining what we're teaching you. We're concerned about our numbers looking good. And I'm like, what? How can you people live knowing that? How can you sleep knowing that? You are perpetuating people who are not ready for the future, in the future and in the present. Like, what I mean by that is presently, you want to go to college, get into a decent school, which to me, if 1 plus 1 is 2, everywhere I go to, why does it matter which institution I ultimately go to? But seriously, you wonder why so many basic skills are missing in the workforce presently, like character traits. Of course, they're missing because we're not practicing that. That's not what we're teaching. We're teaching people to figure out how to plug in a formula somewhere or punch in the answers, like if it's multiple choice. Normally final exams were multiple choice. You're just taking those answers and trying to plug them in to the equation and see if that gives you your answer. We're not learning the process of getting to something. We're not learning how to solve something. We're just learning to take shortcuts and to see the final result and apply it without us getting there through work. It's like there are some people who are my age who I argue with, and they swear that the way that we see the world presently is how it's always been. They don't understand that it took decades upon decades of labor for our roads to be built, for airports to be all connected and traced, their maps, their flying and everything, that involves aviation, all of that. You were born in a time when the building was technically over. The building that you see presently is to either upgrade the current infrastructure or to add to compensate and resolve the issue of too much traffic, too much clutter, too much backed up traffic. So I have a hard time conversing with people who are my age because for some reason they treat me like I'm an alien. Like, no, girl, you're crazy. The world has always been this way. Like, no, you don't get it. It took people who invested their time educating themselves, taking school seriously, getting up super early in the morning, and combating the elements with limited technology and exposing themselves physically to make all of this possible. But you happen to be born after the fact, so you're not processing the fact that everything has a beginning and everything that you see, someone had to do it. So that's why I'm like, that's the part of me that says, is school responsible for teaching us that? I think that yes, because like I said, they're concerned more with making some numbers look good for a district, that we're losing our focus. And every time just out of curiosity, I look what kind of jobs are available, they ask for character traits like organization, bringing ideas to the table, initiative, innovation, all that stuff. I'm like, what? I would expect that a job would ask for, proficiency in calculus. Or, I mean, I know there are jobs out there that ask for this, but I'm just saying that to me it's shocking that we are not training our minds to be useful for us. So that's the part of me that says school is simply broken. It is worth it because at some point in history it was useful for a lot of people, and thanks to that institution, some of the things that we enjoy today were possible. Like when it comes to construction, I'm not sure how much school really teaches you because my grandfather, he, I think he went to school all the way until maybe seventh grade, eighth grade, and he was an amazing builder. And he did not grow up with his father, as far as I know. So I'm like, where did that come from? Where did his knowledge come from? His talent? Was it all just divine? Or did he practice somehow, somewhere, and like he just had a calling like I do sometimes for art. I just out of the blue, when I'm in the mood, I get out a pencil and paper and something amazing turns out. I try to draw by triggering myself to draw, and I can't draw for crap. So it's like divine intervention is what makes me be a good artist. But me voluntarily saying I'm gonna make a big poster today, I can't do it like that. So, so yeah, I believe in that aspect of you do have your natural talent, but I cannot believe that is solely what makes you successful, you know? So that's why I'm like, there's an institution that's for everybody. Some people do well from K to 12, that's me. Some people could use the college depending on what they're going into, but to actively state that college is necessary for success, no. No, because there's some amazing people who have really accomplished great things and they did not need to fall victim to that little degree. So, yeah, you guys, I'm going to read through your comments and reply on the fly because I need to be getting ready for a meeting in 30 minutes. So, fortunately, I can get ready in 10 minutes, but my drive is 15-ish minutes, so I have just the time. Um, Hello again. I think most collages are pointless, but grade school is important. We need better standards, though. Yes. School is only good for technology benefits to survive. No one needs school. Everything is taught through the elders. Oh my goodness. Yes, I have a pending video about um, the stuff that is learned best from word of mouth, like what do you call that? Traditions. Like very important traditions, stuff that should be taught generationally, if that's a word. This is why all schools should be geared towards STEM. I feel like I used to know what STEM was. Demetrix, define. We need to hurry up and send people to Mars or some crap. Schools teach to pass a test. Hey, Ollie! That's why I hated it very little. Critical thinking skills. Yes, exactly. Like I am genuinely shocked, but at the same humbled by some of you guys who leave me some sweet comments telling me, wow, someone who can actually hold a conversation, someone who can actually expand a point, someone who actually talks sense. I'm like, I genuinely don't think that I'm that special. If anything, I feel like I can be pretty boring sometimes, but I can sort of understand why you guys really highlight that about me, that I'm knowledgeable here and there, and if I'm ignorant, at least I admit it, but I try to, you know, deduce, try to draw my own conclusions. So I guess it's because I look at life as a complete learning experience as opposed to thinking that I know everything. So maybe that's why I may seem interesting to talk to or anything. But yeah, I'm not taking any of what you guys say for granted. Like I'm very like grateful that you guys tell me that. But I feel like I'm pretty average. Like I would expect that most people are above me when it comes to just knowledge in general and discussions, like, but I hear what you're saying because I try to talk to some people and they're either distracted or just lacking interest. So I don't want to completely force someone to just listen to me if I'm not inspiring you to discuss something with me. So, anyways, I only really started trying to learn once nobody was telling me I had to anymore. I was fortunate to stumble across some intelligent people who pointed me to some more. Exactly. That's a really good point. For me, ever since I have a choice over what I want to spend my time learning, I feel like I have progressed immensely. Not to crap on school, but the most important lessons I learned outside of school, and through life experiences. So, anybody who says that school is it, school is the time for you to either get it or you don't, they're lying. They're really lying. The Board of Education should all be fired. You fired. You know what? It makes sense. It comes down to it's like the Board of Education is like management in stores. It's like you have the CEO and all these people, the executives who like the executive branch of government, they're making all the laws and all the rules and everything, and they just want to see results without putting in the effort and work that it takes. It's like, no, come down to our level, be in a classroom, and then start making decisions. Maybe, just maybe, that way you'll see what needs improvement and you'll actively work towards it as opposed to implementing ridiculous crap, crap that doesn't do anything for anybody. Schools and colleges are a business. They want to lock down all students into applying everything government created is just a number and money signed to them. We are the figures and we allow them to control us. Yes, and you know what? I learned about something called functional depression. I'm not really going to dig deep into it. It's probably another material for another video, but if you guys are interested, you should look that up if you've never heard of it. But that helped me understand so much about me because my teachers left me alone. They knew that I was a good student. I could study independently. I made good grades. I never got written up for anything. I would never disrupt class, follow directions, etc. So they saw me as a student who had no problems, the model student. But I'm like, just because I'm the model student doesn't mean that everything in my life is together. It doesn't mean that I don't need guidance or direction. You know, you're making a lot of assumptions right there. It's like you got comfortable behind the idea that I'm not giving you anything to feel concerned about, but then you are assuming for me that I have everything figured out. And back in my adolescence, the only reason why I cooperated in school so much is because that was my upbringing. My mom was a teacher, and she said bad grades due to negligence is unacceptable, and you have to be respectful. And I better not ever hear a complaint or anything from a teacher because you're going to suffer. And my mom did not BS when she said that I would suffer. So, you know, it's like what made me a functional student is my fear of my mom's rage and the consequences at home, you know? But it wasn't exactly that I was really invested in school like that. Normally, since I naturally have a passion for learning, yes, that did have something to do, but it's not like everything that school was exposing me to was something that I was thrilled about. You see what I mean? So, yeah, yeah. Most people actually have sixth grade level education. Wait, I skipped something. Okay, the most important classes, in my opinion, is grades K through seventh. I think anything after is BS. You know what? Funny that you should mention seventh grade because by my seventh grade is when I was really, really digesting a lot of the things that I had learned over the years. And for me, seventh grade was most definitely, I don't know if it was my best grade in middle school or my second best grade, but it was definitely one of my best overall school experiences. So you have a point there. North American education is atrocious. My son is in fifth grade, and what he knows about the world is pure crap compared to what I knew at his age from school. Oh my god. Funny that you should mention world classes because I realized that I know absolutely nothing about anything outside of Europe, obvious reasons. But I remember a few years ago, I deliberately picked up a book about Chinese culture because I was like, I know nothing about any Asian nation. The only thing I sort of knew about an Asian nation was India, and it was the rupee. That's it. But I didn't even know the meaning of it and symbol of it for when people wear it on like right here. So I only knew it as a form of currency, but I didn't really know anything else. And now I know a little bit about their cuisine, like curry is life. But I feel like by me saying that, I'm just heavily generalizing it because I know that there's more to Indian food than curry, probably. So, but yeah, yeah, I'm an example of that. I suck at world history. Please don't quiz me because I will fail miserably. Um, I don't know anything about New Zealand. Places like that, I know nothing. Japan, of course, anime. But there's more to Japan's culture and way of living than freaking fiction. You know what I mean? These people are advanced, in their own ways. And China, of course, look at us. We get everything from them. So, yeah, yeah, okay. Um, Business demand skills and colleges go off what the businesses demand. High school preps you to be a factory worker. Oh my god, yes. And middle school preps you for college. It sounds crazy, but I figured out the game. Yeah, school needs a reform because it's still conducting itself like we are back in the industrial age. What did I tell you about game again? Hey, Jacobs. Child, please. Oh my god, you guys are cracking at it. And school is important and not important at the same time. Exactly. That's pretty much what I've said during my 25-minute rambling. You don't need high school education for factory work. It's just a process for the government to make sure that every kid is locked down into having a cubicle when they grow up to college. Yes, mostly, but the previous generation did this too. He was taught by someone. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that my grandfather learned probably by observing someone and then practicality. But yeah, I wish I would have had him for a little longer. Because I wish, if there's a person in this world who I wish I could go back and talk to for, even if it's just 10 minutes, it would be him. School is limiting, success is all luck and work, sir. Lack of success is not really a person's fault, and success isn't really their accomplishment. It's all luck. With the school systems, in a nutshell. Yeah, I remember myself being like, you know what? What are people saying about college? Is college necessary? And then back in 2012, I saw a YouTube video that was totally discouraging you from going to college. It actively said, don't go to college because, it's just a massive business. And for me personally, one of the things that turned me off about college is that given my status as a poor girl and proud, um, I'll be able to comfortably afford, probably, going to public schools. And unfortunately, the setting of public schools is you're amassed in, like you're congregated and you're in this building with a room, and the room is really big, and the professor is just standing there or sitting there just lecturing his life away. And I'm like, my learning skills, like my way of learning, does not do well with that. I need to be able to consult my teacher for things from time to time, especially if the subject matter is one that I struggle at, like um, sciences that involve mathematics and mathematics. So imagine me in an assembly with like all these people and not being able to just comfortably speak up to the teacher and be like, hey, I'm not sure what you're saying, or this and that, or, lectures and research. I can't function that way. I like to put into practice what I am learning. And the college setting did not seem like that. College to me seemed like a big rush. Like, yeah, you study this is what we're talking about, and good luck determining what's going to be on an exam. Like, what? So, but anyways, for me, my ideal school is a private one because the ratios between professors and students is like pretty small, as in for every, let's say something crazy, for every 100 kids, there's a professor, as opposed to for every like 800 kids, there's one or two professors. That's what I mean. And I'm telling you, I would have been too depressed in college. Listening to this and playing Friday 13 at the moment, started binge watching most of your vids. Today came from a world without men. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate that. I'm just an a-hole. La, 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 la. New Zealand has the highest vasectomy rates. Hey, will you ever make me one of your mods? I'll consider it. 97% of jobs can be automated. We need more STEM. I used to not get math because the teachers sucked. You know what? I gotta make a video expressing about how teachers' way of teaching matters. So, oh my God, based on some comments, it's already 9:15, so I'm gonna have to just throw on some clothes and leave. I now love calculus. I never took a calculus class. I did some stuff in advanced functions and modeling that involved calculus stuff, but I did not mess with any calculus directly. Math is the easiest subject in my opinion. Well, maybe because your brain is just designed to break that down. Mine isn't. Yep, math is easy. See, math to me became easier when I was figuring out the patterns. Like, well, I don't have a lot of time to really describe it, but everything has a pattern. It's just a massive pattern. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I have to bail on you guys. I'm sorry. I would have loved to keep this going, but I really have to be hitting the road now. I have just enough time to make it to my stupid meeting. But, anyways, I will come back. Have a strong algebra background on calculus will be easier. Yeah, I started taking more algebra courses, and that really made a difference. So, yeah, guys, thanks so much for tuning in and joining me and for your awesome comments. I've been learning a lot lately. And just to, as a dismissive note, I do get to read every comment that you guys leave me, but sometimes it's kind of difficult for me to get back to all of them. So yeah. All right, guys. See you soon.